Try that. You see my lip moving, but nothing's happening. And happy Saturday. It's a beautiful Saturday here in rural Chicken Squat, Mississippi. I'm going to do, I've got a couple of shows I've got to do today. And I'll tell you, it's you would think that at some point in the game that crime, and when I speak of crime, I'm speaking of criminals with badges and their counterparts, the state actors that perpetrate these crimes on a daily basis. And they've convinced themselves that what they're doing is perfectly legal. If they were doing what the program is designed to do, then elements of that still on its face, when challenged, I don't believe will ever hold up. But it's the things that they're not telling people they're doing that's going on. And millions of Americans annually suffer from this. Over 4 million stalkings were reported in the United States last year. Now, these stalkings are not where some creepy man is stalking some young lady on a university campus. These stalkings are almost always exclusive to community-oriented policing. And of course, law enforcement runs this program on a local basis and oversees it, and the Department of Justice. And so that's the fox guard in the hen house, ladies and gentlemen. They've given carte blanche to criminals, and we're going to talk about that. Today, on this segment, we're going to talk, and I'm not going to name this man right now. We're going to save that for later. But he happened to have he's got a very solid and very damning case against Lee County, Mississippi, the Lee County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Jim H. Johnson. I have a federal case right now that's on the docket with Lee County and the sheriff and so forth, as well as Union County. I find it remarkable that the case that I have against the sheriff of Lee County, Mississippi, and it is based on events when I was arrested. I'm not challenging the charge and so forth. That hasn't been litigated. But the question I have for the federal court is what happened when I was taken into custody. I was tortured in the Lee County jail. And as I outlined in the complaint, the jail, it's lengthy with how abusive, verbally abusive, and indifferent the staff was, and refusing to give me medication, and making physical threats, and then turning those physical threats into a reality. I was, come on out. First, when I asked for my medication, they threatened me with pepper spray, and then slammed the door real hard. I still didn't get my medication. And of course, I'm having anxiety attacks. I've been, this is not my first time. As wrongfully convicted and thrown in prison for 10 years for something I didn't do. Of course, they were trying to capitalize on that. And I already had 2 federal lawsuits against their counterparts in the adjacent county. So they're running interference for the boys in blue. Criminals stick together. Criminals stick together, folks. And again, these are elected criminals that took an oath. And that was the biggest lie they ever told, that they would protect the Constitution, foreign and domestic, etc., etc., etc. BS. So this individual was arrested a couple of days ago. Again, it was a bogus charge. I'm not going to go into the charge right now, but it was, at best, if it was legitimate, and it wasn't, there's no way, and even in a kangaroo court, that this charge against this individual could ever fly. The fact that he was arrested for this and put through this, these officers that initiated this arrest, this was a sham. It was a sham used as a harassment. law enforcement's doing this across the nation. They're using the judicial system, our money, our facilities to torture other American citizens. They don't care if it ever goes to court, win, lose, or draw. They've already gotten their rocks off by traumatizing and torturing the victim. So this is no exception to the rule. I was forced into a restraint chair for asking for my medication that had been doused with pepper spray. My back and the back of my legs, all that, within just a few minutes, I'm burning, I'm yelling and asking for water, and I'm doing this. They roll me into a very dim lit corridor, and the door's closed. This is their blind spot. There's no security cameras, and they put me in there, and I stayed in there several hours and was refused to get medication, water, but there was a lady in a control booth with a glass, and she was aware of my discomfort, and I was screaming, I'm burning and all this stuff. This is how they teach you a lesson. They wasn't happy about the fact that I started naming the names of the corrupt law enforcement that framed me back in 2005 in Monroe County, Mississippi. And I'm supposed to forget about it. And they've done everything to discredit me, to marginalize my what I say and everything else. And it's undisputable now, after, of course, the statute of limitations run out. I have to carry that, and this is irreparable harm that was done to myself and my family. That will never be repaired. It can never be repaired. Instead of one good person standing up and saying, hey, that was wrong. How can we right this wrong? No, they double down on the lie. And so goes the story with so many crimes that I report. Kayla Prestridge, she jumped from a moving vehicle. That's what not Curtis Knight, he's dead now, but Curtis Knight was saying that, and former Sheriff Cecil Cantrell. He said there wasn't a crime to warrant an investigation. She jumped from a vehicle. She was on that dope. And so that's how they dismissed it. So Hannah Blair hitting her in the back of the head with a ball peen hammer and caving her skull in was not probable cause to do a murder investigation. We've got a new sheriff in there. Of course, then they've had this over, supposedly, Sean Tyndall's a pack of liars, and he's the commissioner of Mississippi Department of Public Safety. They took the investigation, and they've done nothing but lie, gaslight, and drag the family. These people have no soul, no scruples, no morals. And the people that you see, what you see in broad daylight, you're not seeing who that person really is. So this individual was arrested and drugged to jail on something, at best, if it was legitimate on its face, would be a warning or maybe a citation, not lock him up for 2 days before releasing the individual on his own recognizance. Didn't even need a bond. So, I mean, this is more, it wasn't even as serious as jaywalking, ladies and gentlemen. So, he goes into the jail, and this is in the evening. About the same time I win. They favor a certain time of the day when they arrest people, for those that don't know this. Especially these malicious and unlawful arrests. They have a certain protocol. They want to get them in the afternoon around shift change. Well, that's an immediate confusion deal. Families called in trying to get by. No, next shift and all that. So they go into a drag, a skid. And that traumatizes whoever they've locked up. And so he goes in there. Of course, they strip them down, butt naked. Law enforcement loves. They can't wait. That's the money shot for them. I can't get them back, get them naked. This is after they grope and molest you curbside, and then you can get ready to do it again when you get behind closed doors. So he's in there with a 70-year-old man that had the same unlawful, bogus charge that has a heart condition. It rolls around about 10 o'clock that night, and everyone in the cell had been given a mat, a little thin piece of mat where they can sleep on a concrete floor that smells like body odor, piss, vomit, defecation, and everything else. No, I'm not talking about a jail in Tijuana. I'm talking about Tupelo, Mississippi, Lee County Jail. And of course, the United States and this country has the most draconian penal system in the world. Not justice system, penal system. This is a money-making deal. Corrections Corporation of America, it's a billion-dollar industry. Prisons are overcrowding. They build more prisons. That's more jobs. And that's how they look at that. Why is recidivism so high? Well, hello. Recidivism has got to be high. They equate every person that they put in these jails as a customer. This is how they get your tax, my tax dollars, to feed this beast. And I think that an exorcism on a large scale is in order. You don't hear Walmart, even though you feel like at times that they're saying that. It's all or none. But when you leave there, they say thank you at least. They want you to come back. They don't try to do everything they can to keep you from coming back to Walmart. And they don't try to do anything to keep you from coming back in prison. Matter of fact, they're going to see to it when you get out as a convicted felon, whether you was rightfully convicted or wrongfully convicted. It doesn't matter. They put you immediately into the community-oriented policing program, and you become a target for life. Or you become a full-time rat for life. One of the two. And folks, I'll take target, and I'm a hard target. And most of the targets out here, I've met plenty of them, they're soft targets. They'd rather piss, moan, and groan and cry the blues and tell the world about how you can't do anything about it. Well, I'm telling you what, I will go to my grave doing my dead level best. It's time that people start squaring their shoulders and facing this and being proactive. Attorneys in North Mississippi are going to start getting the message. As a targeted individual, we know that it's virtually impossible to retain an attorney because it is not in good taste for them to kick against the pricks of a system that's so much money, everybody's palms are getting greased. And so they gaslight you, and they shuffle and drag, and the victim becomes more victimized. They have no resources. They're worrying about if they're going to be homeless or not. This program keeps the victim on the run. It makes it impossible for the victim to slow down and to be able to articulate what's going on, to even have a chance at trying to take the pressure off them because they're being targeted by a system that is supposed to protect and serve, not protect and serve their own self-interest. This individual's case absolutely doubles down on the case I currently have in there. I'm anxious to see when Jim H. Johnson will get the memo and resign. That is in order. This will not stop these cases. He'll still have to answer for them. The only thing that keeps law enforcement, especially a sheriff in office, is their integrity. Integrity, ladies and gentlemen, is like virginity. Once it's gone, it's gone. Jim Johnson, I don't know if he ever had any integrity, but I tell you what, we have substantiated it in spades that, my friend, is old hat. He is no longer a man of his word. He is no longer fulfilling the oath of office. He is responsible for the actions of his jail and his deputies. He bears that responsibility. And the audacity to stand there and continue to draw and to take our money to abuse citizens is absolutely despicable. So it rolls around at 10 o'clock the first night, and everyone in this holding tank, now mind you, in this jail, nasty, nasty jail, because they don't care. You have to understand the mentality of law enforcement is once they get you in there and they have taken your dignity, your virginity, or whatever else they want to take, and the most foul language, people say, man, I need to watch my language. Those people, absolutely, every one of them have got trench gutter mouths that would make a sailor blush. That is a reflection of leadership, ladies and gentlemen. What rolls downhill? That's true. It's just like the law of gravity. It's always rolling downhill. You are no better. Your organization is no better than its leadership. Your organization is a reflection of you, Sheriff. So when you have a group of people that have no problems violating a person's civil and constitutional rights, violating them as basic human beings by talking down to them, and I'm going to give you an example. So this individual knocked on the door and he said, we didn't get a mat. Me and the elderly man didn't get a mat. Well, we asked everybody if they wanted a mat, and y'all said you didn't want one. Now, folks, so that's gaslighting 101. So you're crammed in a jail cell. You're exhausted. It's overcrowded. Don't forget the squalor and the funk and the germs and diseases. I was in there in the midst of COVID. These deputies in extra tight cockroach brown outfits, they had masks. These holding tanks are suitable for maybe 8 to 10 at most. They've got several in there. But that poses a problem. If you put people all in them, then you got more rooms you got to clean up. And if we can get them all in one little bottle, then we can make it convenient. So it was more than double its intended and legal capacity. That's sitting down. These individuals are rarely let out to shower, bathe, or anything like that. They hold them for days. And individuals will stay in there for days and may never be told what they're in there for, what they was arrested. Oh, they know. You just assume they know that. That is an assumption. Don't assume that. They may stand there days before they're allowed to even make a phone call. This is correct, folks. And so he said, no, why would we say that? Then the two jailers went inside the holding tank because this guy that was protesting, bring me a mat. They told him, the judge said, you're not going to get a mat. The 70-year-old man and you sleep on a cold, nasty concrete floor. And folks, I'm going to try not to lose it on this because I'm telling you, I don't know who those jailers or who Jim Johnson or any of those people think they are. If you can't treat another human being like a human being, as if that was your own mother or brother in there, then you are a disgrace to that badge. You're a disgrace of wearing a flag on your chest. And you're a disgrace to this country. That's as simple as I can make it. You are the lowest form of any substance on this earth. So they entered into the cell block. Now, mind you, folks, there's surveillance cameras. And they know what time it is, Lee County. You know what the judge is going to order. First thing off the bat, let it not be there. That's obstruction of justice. All bets are off. Secure it. You've been put on notice. They are filing suit. And yours truly is going to make sure that happens. That happens. We're not going to waste time talking to milquetoast attorneys that want to whine and dance and see whose ass they've got to kiss and good old boy stuff. We're going to circumvent all that. We're going to exercise our constitutional rights that you have so steadily and relentlessly denied. Who are you to deny that inalienable right of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? You're nobody. We're going to make that clear. Pick the phone up, call Chris Nicole in Pasco County, Florida, and ask him how he's feeling right now. He's got the Department of Justice all up his ass on a criminal investigation, misuse of federal funds. And this is what we're looking for to come and to visit in North Mississippi. That he's dealing with not one, not two, but 4 federal lawsuits, and they're all substantial. This is all based around targeting and their misuse of funds and punishing people for crimes they've yet to commit. And it outlines in the lawsuit. I've got it right here. And I follow it. They're punished for crimes they have yet to commit. The citizens have been battered with unlawful searches, unlawful arrests, petty citations, etc., 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 being abused in a Stasi style, a Stasi COINTELPRO fashion. They went in and shut the door. 2 jailers went in there with all the detainees, shut the door. Now, the video, the surveillance cameras is still going to, because it has a glass window. Unlike when I was assaulted, they put a black curtain over that window. And security cameras will show that as well. When they entered in there, they told the young man to get on the wall. And what that meant for him to turn around and put his hands up, and he did that. He complied immediately. The jailer then took the handcuffs and cuffed one wrist. Now, the detainee was compliant. He had been through this before. You see, when someone has been in this revolving door, they know they're more subject to, they're going to go along with the deal. They know what these monsters are capable of. And these monsters know that this person's been through it before. We can treat them worse than a dog. We've got that right. Bullshit. Oh, I'm trying to lose it. So they took his hand and snatched him and threw him to the floor. This is with witnesses. And we've got the 70-year-old man that was there. I've already talked with him in depth, in length with both of these people. We've already got the deal lined out here. Will testify to everything I'm telling you. And it will be supported by surveillance. Once he was slammed to the floor, this is him being compliant, totally compliant, for simply raising his voice and protesting the fact that he was going to have to sleep on this nasty, third world condition, subhuman conditions. And the jailer jumped on his back and put his knee on his neck and cut off his air supply. He's choking and smothering him, and he's screaming and begging, "I can't breathe." Not only will the elderly man testify to what I just said, there was at least near a dozen detainees in that holding tank. And Jim Johnson, and you pathetic, coward jailer, let me tell you something. If you think that you're going to bully any of those when they're subpoenaed to testify, they're going to testify to exactly what. And I hope you don't feel that this country and the federal judge and this system thinks that's acceptable behavior. We don't believe blue lives matter. Damn a blue lie. He's choking him. He's holding one hand and he's choking him. We've got his knee down there. And his other hand, he's tasing him. I've got photographs of this man's body. And folks, it's a horror story. You can see everywhere. Now, they get the other wrist cuffed. Force him up off the floor like it was game that had been hunted and killed in the woods. Drug him outside of the cell, still within view of all the witnesses, and slammed him into a restraint chair. Now his hands are behind his back and he's in a chair, and this is it's very painful. In this chair, now the restraint chair, your arms would be out like this, not behind your back like that. While in this, and it leans back, like it sits real low to the ground. Once you're down it, there's no way. I don't care if you're Usain Bolt. You are not coming up out of that chair, even if you weren't tethered. This is before they strapped him in. Then the jailer struck him several times with his closed fist in the face and tased him some more. And I've got the words he used. And he called him a bitch several times. The jailer is using vile profanity, calling this man everything but a child of God. All over because, first of all, they knew that they'd get a reaction if they didn't give him a mat to sleep on. That's why Jim H. You people Johnson thinks it's cute to get the air conditioner real cold in that jail, leave it nasty, feed them dog food, and then they have to sit up all damn day and they got to wait till 10 o'clock at night. If they mop and clean his jail, he might give them a mat. I got a word for you, Jim Johnson. Let me tell you something, brah. Karma is a bitch. If you don't think that's not going to come back to haunt you and your family and everything you love, you're mistaken. You don't justify that behavior. They're human beings. That's somebody's son. That's somebody's dad. That's somebody's granddad. And it falls on your shoulders, Jim Johnson. Period. Then they took this man. They did to him what they did to me a year ago. It's got wheels, so casters on this restraint chair. I dare you ask for a bed. I dare you to ask for medication. My restraint chair had been pre-doused with pepper spray, like I said. And when they got him into this blind spot, I didn't realize it. I got it confirmed with this. I put in my complaint that I was moved into this dark corridor and with the doors closed out of everybody's sight, save one officer threw a piece of glass that thick. I said, I don't think there was surveillance there. Now, this is when I was screaming, I'm on fire and begging for water for hours to no avail. It was confirmed this time, and it may have been the same jail because it was around the same time period. And I quote, the jailer said, I got you in the blind spot now, bitch. End quote. An inmate in cell H1 that's off adjacent to that corridor said, you are fucked now. Quote, end quote. This was the inmate, Mississippi Department of Corrections, a white male wearing green and red and white stripes. He's close custody. And so now we've got a cheering section. Now, I'm not saying that the convict was cheering this on, but apparently that convict in H1, we do want that information. It seems like it's not the first time he has witnessed someone being tortured in that corridor. Now, after I filed my federal complaint, I don't know how many people has complained prior to that or after that. Why in the hell is Jim Johnson still the sheriff? Why are they still rolling people? Rod Coleman, Assistant U.S. Attorney, Oxford, Mississippi. You'll be getting a brief on this. I do hope that you do the right thing and give us the referral we've been asking for and demand that the Department of Justice conduct an investigation. Title 18, Section 242, Crimes Committed Under the Color of Law, covers a multitude of sins. These are criminal charges, and that carries substantial prison time, not pats on the back of the hand. This is not the good old boy club. This is exactly what Title 18, Section 242 was written for this very thing. It's no good if Assistant U.S. Attorney Rob Coleman, if you don't do your job. We can't expect the public integrity, Sean Tindall with Department of Public Safety or Public Integrity, Lynn Fitch, to do their job. No. It falls on you, U.S. Attorney. But we're going to press forward. We're not letting this go. I'm not letting it go. They're not letting it go. How many people have died? How many people are scarred, and have they been? That is not. We have something called due process. You're innocent until proven guilty. That is not their job. It is Jeff Dustin's job to have a safe and acceptable environment for a detainee. They have they get certified every year. This is the time of year when they actually mop and clean, air freshener, everybody presses their clothes, and they put on a show. We got A's. We're going to give all y'all a stale donut today for playing your part. Y'all burn in hell over all that, okay? Bunch of phony ass people drawing money like you doing something for the community. Were you torturing people? You can kiss my ass. And I think that any red-blooded American that's hearing this is with me. They're not with you. Trust me on that. These people are going to pull the lever for these tyrants to keep putting them back in office. That's your fault. That's your fault. You're putting the best liar and tyrant in there. And you already got another liar and tyrant that's waited and been groomed to be the next liar and tyrant in chief. Somebody that has morals and that absolutely will abide to the oath that they took needs to grow a set of balls and run. Instead of getting this country club deal of a bunch of podunks, we're going to do it our way. My brother's death in Muscle Shoals City Jail was ruled a suicide. He was 18 years old. That was my big brother. So, I think you get an idea where I stand on this. And I speak for millions. I speak for millions. And you'll sneer and say, no, you don't. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. After he got in the blind spot and was called everything but a child of God, 2 jailers in there, he put the taser. Oh, and he, instead of hitting him with it and taking it off, he just left it on there, and he's got burns all over his torso. And was holding it on him, one taser, and striking him with his fist. While he was restrained in a restraining chair. And then he was left in there to suffer in excess of 4 hours. And then after 4 hours or better, they reappear and bark out the commands. You better keep your mouth shut, go in and sit down. And they gave him a small piece of cotton. And said, you and the old man can split that. And so they gave a 70-year-old man a little piece of cotton. I'm going to shut up. 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 As you sow, so shall you reap. As you sow, so shall you reap. Maybe one time, but Tupelo, Mississippi, when just by a fluke, it got out some of your messages when you said that the Mexicans were just like the blacks, wanting this and wanting that, and you just wrote a little apology letter. The councilman, the board of aldermen, mad about this. They said, well, they didn't see anything wrong with it. So you had a damn plan meeting. How many Uncle and Aunt Toms do we have in Tupelo, in Lee County, Mississippi? There's plenty of them out there working for the man. still on the plantation, setting Americans back 450 years. You've got the audacity to participate in community-oriented places where you suppress and oppress other human beings. You are pathetic. Folks, I hate to be this emotional, but there's no other way. There's no way that I can address this. As this man that I didn't know is telling me what he had endured, I said, let me get some pictures, and I documented it, because he's a nobody. Remember this, folks. They do this to the nobodies. I'm a nobody. He was a nobody. He can't afford an attorney. He doesn't have the proper education to represent himself. He would never be able to figure out how to navigate through the federal judicial system to hold us accountable. But what they didn't count on is that God had another one of those throwaways in the eyesight of this individual that does know how to do all that, that won't quit, that does know what to say, that does know how to do the paperwork and will do it. That's how my God delivers. And my God cannot fail. He cannot fail. He can only fail at not failing, because he cannot fail. And he will not fail. Jesus said, whatsoever you do to the least of these, you have done it to me. Gone are the days that it's acceptable to justify mistreating and treating another human being less than that. George Floyd or anyone else. Because you can. Because you can. And then they isolate to a couple of bad cops. It's just a few bad belts. This is a culture of systemic corruption of biblical proportions. It's not a few bad apples. On the contrary, there's only a few good apples at best. It's been allowed far too long. The blood is on the hands of these judges, these district attorneys that prosecute these bogus cases, and these attorneys that are too busy chasing ambulances to take a pro bono case where a family's been destroyed, isolated, ostracized, forced into homelessness, flirting with death. You don't have time for them. You are not serving your community nor your fellow man by chasing ambulances and suing big insurance companies and wearing nice suits and walking around like you've got a stick jabbed up your ass. You are pathetic as well. Let me hear from you. Share, subscribe, and like. And I'm going to keep you up to date on this, folks. Until next time, God bless you.